You are listening from Lee Swift Book.
Welcome back to Lee Swift Book. Someone once said, there are books that, even after half a century of living in this world, still beat with the pulse of youth. The more you turn their pages, the more you feel as if they were written for this very moment. And The Little Prince is one of those books. Light as a breath, yet powerful enough to make a grown person stop in their tracks. Not because of dazzling words, not because of a grand, elaborate plot, but because, in every page, we find ourselves, our longings, our weariness, those quiet, unspoken desires we thought we had tucked away in the hidden corners of adulthood. And when we finish The Little Prince, something simple suddenly becomes clear. The most beautiful truths are seen only through the eyes of a childlike heart. So today, let's walk that journey once more, gently, slowly, to see what still waits for us behind the dust of worries, ambition, and material chase. What is calling us to come home? If you lift your gaze beyond this vast earth, you'll find that somewhere in the immense universe, there is a tiny planet, so small that just a few steps would take you all the way around. That is where the Little Prince lives. On that small planet, there are no streets, no towering buildings, no noisy rush of life that adults like us have grown too accustomed to. There are only 3 modest volcanoes, 1 mischievous little boy, and the baobab seeds the wind brings every single day. At first, a baobab sprout doesn't look dangerous at all. It's small, soft, almost harmless. But if left to grow, it becomes a nightmare, strong enough to tear the Little Prince's tiny planet apart. And so, each morning, the Little Prince wakes early, carefully pulling out every sprout, clearing every patch of soil, not because someone forces him to, but because he understands something profound. There are things in life that if we don't deal with while they're still small, one day they'll swallow us whole. Strange, isn't it? How a tiny planet can reflect us more clearly than any mirror. Because all of us carry our own baobabs inside. A few things we buy just for the thrill of it. A few habits we think are harmless. Emotions we bury. Desires quietly growing day after day. And if we refuse to look at them, refuse to pull them out in time, they will fill every corner within us, leaving behind a heart cramped, exhausted, and drained without us even noticing. In our grown-up lives, these baobab trees don't rise from the soil. They grow from the tiniest desires inside us. A new shirt we bought just because it was cheap. A book we ordered thinking, I'll read it someday. A cute little decoration we have no idea where to put. Individually, they look harmless. But after just a few months, the closet won't close, the bookshelf gathers dust, and the room feels like it's swallowing our air and our peace. There's an interesting psychological phenomenon called the Diderot effect. It says that when we own one new item, we start wanting more things to match it, to create a false sense of harmony. And just like that, from one harmless purchase, we spiral into an endless chain of consumption. Owning things isn't wrong. What's wrong is that we forget. Every object comes with an energy cost. The time to clean it, manage it, store it, worry when we lose it, or the quiet disappointment when it no longer feels new. Someone once said, "You don't own your possessions. Your possessions own you." And the older we get, the more painfully true that feels. Because life doesn't become more beautiful by having more things. Life becomes beautiful when we have enough space to breathe, to smile, to make time for what truly matters. That is why the Little Prince pulls out the baobabs every morning. And that is also why we need to clear out our own lives before the clutter grows roots. Leaving his tiny planet behind, the Little Prince began his journey across the neighboring stars. And strangely enough, on every planet he visited, there lived a single adult, each trapped inside a small world of their own making. On the first planet, he met a king wrapped in a ridiculously long robe. He had no subjects at all, Yet every day he issued orders for the sun to rise, for the wind to blow, then nodded proudly to himself, convinced of his own power. The little prince watched in confusion. What is the point of power? If there's no one to care for? Then he visited the planet of a businessman. The man spent his entire life hunched over a desk, recording and counting endless numbers. The stars in the sky that he claimed belonged to him. He counted so obsessively that his eyes darkened, his hands trembled, yet he still believed owning just one more star would finally make him happy. Looking at them, the little prince suddenly saw something eerily similar to the adults on Earth. They rush so blindly that they forget to ask whether what they're chasing actually makes them happy. Desire, whether for power, fame, or wealth, always begins with reasons that sound perfectly logical. But the deeper we sink into it, the more we're swept away like a leaf in a river's current, no longer knowing where we're going, what we're seeking, or what we've lost along the way. And that is the tragedy of adulthood. The more they chase, the more they feel they lack. The more they possess, the emptier they become. The more planets the little prince visited, the deeper a strange sadness settled in his heart. Every adult he met was clinging desperately to something. They held on to power, chased after reputation, hoarded wealth, as if letting go would cause their entire world to collapse. But there was one thing they couldn't see. The very things they chased were slowly consuming their lives, piece by piece. Like a moth drawn to a flame, knowing the danger, yet unable to look away. Adults are the same. They run after goals with blurry edges, convinced that just a little more will be enough. Just a little more will bring joy. Just a little more will bring happiness. But that little more never ends. The more they run, the more exhausted they feel. The harder they try, the more breathless they become. And at some point, they look back and realize they have traded away their youth, their time, the people who loved them, all for something that never truly filled the emptiness inside. They rush forward so blindly that they never stop to ask a simple question: why am I doing all of this? Standing in the vastness of the universe, the little prince suddenly understood. The desires of adults are like baobab trees grown far beyond control. They don't just tear apart a planet, they tear apart the soul. And once a soul is cracked, even if you reach the finish line, you can no longer feel joy. When the little prince arrived on Earth, he didn't land in a lush green forest or a bustling city. He fell into a vast desert, a place where even the wind carried the feeling of emptiness. Day after day, he wandered through the golden dunes, searching for a trace of life. Yet the wide sky returned only the echo of his own voice. For the first time, he felt a loneliness so deep, a feeling adults know too well, but children rarely do. He tried to befriend anyone he met. A snake slithered by, and he spoke to the snake. A railway switchman passed, and the little prince asked questions with all the curiosity in his heart. But every reply he received was distant, indifferent, as if each person were living inside a box of their own making. Eventually, he almost believed that no one on Earth would ever stop long enough to truly listen to a boy from another star. Until he met the fox. The fox didn't turn away, nor did he answer half-heartedly. He looked at the little prince with gentle, understanding eyes. The eyes of a creature that knows how to love and knows how to wait. They sat together on the quiet sand. No noise, no rush, just two souls, two breaths, two hearts slowly opening to each other. And the fox taught him something adults often forget. What is essential is invisible to the eye. It can only be felt with the heart. In that moment, the loneliness melted away like a passing breeze. The little prince realized that on a vast planet like Earth, the most precious thing is not the number of people we meet, but the one person willing to slow down, stay beside us, and genuinely want to understand us. While wandering through the desert, the little prince happened upon a man with a face full of tension, a pilot who had just made an emergency landing after his engine failed. No signal, no map, No one to call for help. Only endless cracked earth stretching all the way to the horizon. The pilot was nearly falling apart. Worst-case scenarios kept flashing through his mind. The engine beyond repair, the drinking water running out, time slipping away hour by hour. He tried to stay calm, but the fear inside him swelled like a storm that had lost its way. But the little prince was different. The tiny boy, instead of panicking, gazed at the star-filled night sky and smiled as if standing before a miracle. He told the pilot about the planets he'd visited, the people he'd met, the funny and baffling things adults tended to do. The contrast between them was so sharp, it was almost disorienting. A grown man, responsible, experienced, yet shaken. And a small child, calm, untroubled, as if they inhabited two different worlds, one ruled by fear, the other by faith. When their water was nearly gone, the pilot reached the edge of despair. But the little prince gently took his hand and whispered, "Shall we look for a well? The desert always hides its miracles." So they walked, uncertain, without a map, guided only by the soft, unwavering faith of a child. And strangely, that faith became their compass. After long, exhausting hours, in the heart of the scorching desert, they found an old well. The sound of water echoing below was like the quiet whisper of life. And in that moment, the pilot understood something. Sometimes it's not our circumstances that break us. It's the fear we carry inside. But the calm of a pure heart can lead us through even the harshest deserts. After taking that first cool sip of water, the first in days, the pilot sat quietly for a long time. He looked at the little prince, a boy who had nothing but a pure heart, and suddenly understood something that adults often forget. Life always hits us with a first arrow. It might be failure, loss, an unexpected problem, or a situation far beyond our control. That arrow hurts, but it's part of being human. But most adults shoot themselves with a second arrow, one that cuts deeper and lingers longer. The self-blame, the fear, the spiraling thoughts, the endless what if only, why me, the storm inside, fiercer than any desert outside. And it's that second arrow that truly breaks us. The little prince had no map, no survival skills, not even an understanding of how dangerous the desert could be. But he didn't panic. He didn't stab himself with that second arrow. He kept his heart light, and that lightness carried him far. The pilot looked at himself and let out a soft sigh. So this was the truth. Life isn't complicated because of the circumstances we face. It becomes complicated because of the mind that refuses to be still. The journey of the little prince eventually comes to an end, but the lesson he leaves behind remains, soft as sand, yet lingering for a very long time. That each of us carries our own baobab trees that need to be pulled out. The excess desires, the piled-up emotions, the possessions we no longer need. When we clear them away, life naturally becomes brighter, and our hearts grow wider. If this video touched something inside you, please leave a like, share it with someone who might need it, and join me on this journey of living simply, living gently, in the way the little prince once taught us.